Hello.
Hi.
So we have a very interesting episode this week.
So this month is all about religions, and we're talking religions that are recognized by the IRS as a religion, because sometimes I don't really think they should call themselves religions, but if they're recognized by the IRS and they're tax-free, they are technically a religion. And we are going to be talking about
one of the big ones in LA that a lot of people have a lot to say about.
I feel like a lot of people know about it,
but not that much about it.
But there's so much, like it goes deeper. So today we're going to be talking about Scientology.
And we got to introduce ourselves. So I'm Kirsten.
I'm Allie.
And you're listening to
Thank You So Much.
Thank you so much for Scientology.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not.
But that brings us to our special guest.
Our special guest, who Allie found on the street.
I did. This man, well, first of all, I've been seeing the van. There is a van that I saw parked outside of the Scientology building that I live around the corner from. And it says in big letters, Scientology is a cult. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. And so I've been seeing that, and I'm like, whoever that is, like, they're awesome.
I want to meet them.
Yeah. And then one day I was walking my dog, and I just heard this megaphone on the sidewalk, and it was coming from the Scientology building. And I'm always like, oh, what's going on over there? You know, like, who's over there now? And this person was just yelling through a megaphone at the Scientologists, saying, like, they were reading the list that you have to take the personality test and the numbers of the questions and stuff. And the one I heard was number 26. Do you bite your nails or the ends of pencils? Why the fuck would that matter? And I was like, I am in. So I texted Kirsten real fast. I'm like, listen, we got to get this guy on our podcast because we know we're doing this episode.
Yeah. We had been planning on doing a Scientology episode. Well, actually, our original plan was like,
that was the reason we started a podcast.
We're like, let's go in the building, but we don't need to do that.
Yeah, I was like, I'm too scared for that, but. So anyway, we want to introduce our guest, Scotty. He is a YouTuber. He's got a good platform, and it's under Defender of Ants on YouTube. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. I am DOA, Defender of Ants.
What does that mean?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Explain the...
Well, it has multiple meanings, which is pretty cool. Originally, it had to do with court and not being an ant in court. It kind of gets into the sovereign citizenry language, but basically an ant at a suffix of a word designates an agency. So peasant, servant, respondent, claimant. Mm-hmm. And so you never want to defend an ant in court. And then it progressed into like permaculture and like not killing bugs in the soil because soil biodiversity is important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it just led into defending the ants. I don't know if you've seen Bug Life.
Yeah,
of course.
The grasshoppers are going to take over. The ants all come together.
I love that movie. Yeah, so what is your YouTube channel about?
I've been trying to find like my unique little spot, but I basically film my van life, my travels. I guess now I'm a paid protester, which is a big taboo nowadays, but I live solely off of money from protesting.
Mm-hmm.
And which is awesome because I did it for free forever,
mm-hmm.
and now I'm full-time doing it. And so I have a couple channels. I went to jail last month for 6 days for protesting, and they took my phone, so I started a new channel called The Lore of DOA. And within 2 or 3 days, I had about 6,000 subs.
Wow.
Which is quite a feat.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Like 2 or 3 days, yeah.
So, and my original channel, Defender of Ants, was taken down by a bunch of chuds, I guess you would say.
What are chuds? Wait, why do you know?
I just like the word.
I figured with all the stickers you might know. A chud is kind of, I've been called a chud. I'm not a chud. Chud is kind of a sometimes MAGA
Oh, okay.
They call the activists out in D.C.
Okay.
The Antifas call them chuds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's
Gotcha.
just like kind of Christ-so-fascist. Kind of
Uh-huh.
Okay.
that,
Gotcha.
that, and it's from an old movie. There's like the Attack of the Chuds.
Okay.
Okay.
That's awesome. Our episode's about Scientology, which I feel like you know a lot about. What got you into protesting for Scientology, or what led to that?
Probably like 8 or 9 years ago, I'd watched a bunch of conspiracy videos, anonymous videos on Scientology, and I kind of like I watched the videos like, yeah, it's a cult. And,
Yeah.
But they're a huge cult, and there's nothing I could do about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like ex-Scientologists and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had been out in Hemet. There's a gold base at Hemet, and the guy was there, and there was fences with barbed wire facing in. So they said that it was to keep people from leaving, not coming in. And I went there looking for a hot spring, and there happens to be a hot spring on the property, but it's all private property.
Oh.
So I went out there. I actually accidentally went out there. I saw it, noticed that it was part of Scientology. So that was like years ago, and I was just watching a channel called Streets LA, and he was going after the robots that are delivering food.
Yeah, those are so scary.
Yeah, so he like made a
Cute.
channel, but
They're
he
cute, but-
grew his channel, and then I was watching, and he started protesting at the Church of Scientology at the Information Center on Hollywood Boulevard because
I know it.
because one of the security guards said something about his son dying because of him protesting. So he's like, well, you made it personal. I'm going to shut you down.
Yeah.
And so they went viral, and I watched his YouTube channel go from the small channel to like 180,000 subs.
Wow.
Wow.
And then some other, Jessica and another guy, Chris the Hellcat, they went viral on TikTok. And so
yeah,
I
TikTok,
watched them go viral, and I was like, they need my services.
Yeah.
They need a professional come in, and they're all professionals. But I was like, I could do this. So I was out in D.C. protesting. I was like, I'm gonna drive 3,000 miles and come out here.
Yeah, because this is where it's at.
Yeah.
This is like
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until there is so many characters in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, Hollywood's full of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
From
it's
even the
wild.
homeless are characters.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it's not all bad. There's a lot of like really interesting people.
I mean, even just in my
Yeah.
neighborhood, like my neighbors are characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you're like specifically your street has
I don't know why.
like she has a neighbor that's she's a character.
She's a
for sure.
character.
Yeah.
So that's what made you want to come out here was Scientology and protest.
Yes, and I was actually out in Florida protesting for my friend, and my channel was growing, but I couldn't get enough people to like bring attention to the situation. So that was a third of the reason why I came out here, to bring awareness to my friend Jay's situation out in Florida. And he basically moved into a neighborhood with a bunch of white people, and he's black, and they've been trying to get him out of the house because he's black.
Oh wow.
Wow.
And the sheriffs are helping the neighbors. And
What the fuck?
So it's a crazy story, Operation Jaybird. And so I came out here to bring awareness, and actually A&E picked up the show for him.
Oh, nice.
A show producer was watching and picked up, it's called Neighborhood Wars. And so they've already bought a few of his videos, and he's under contract.
Oh, that's
good.
awesome.
Good.
So
Good job. Like,
yeah,
dude,
so
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell
and
yeah.
I'm not sure if it was from me being here, but I went there to
It
bring
definitely, I'm sure it
awareness.
helped. Yeah.
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 So,
That's awesome.
So it was successful.
Well, should we get into Scientology?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
you watched the documentary very closely. I was trying to, but I took an edible last night.
yeah, I watched
I feel like the friend that didn't study for the test. Like,
I know.
We'll
I
get
see
you
your
through
notes?
this.
Yeah, it's okay. I took notes for both of us. Yeah, I took a bunch of notes. I watched Going Clear
Okay.
because I had seen the My Scientology movie and I wanted to see this one because I had never heard of it. But yeah, so I learned a lot. Like I thought I knew a lot about Scientology, but I learned a lot just about L. Ron Hubbard.
all I know is he looks crazy.
Does not
His
have the
mouth
best,
is scary.
yeah, he does not have the best dental health.
No, and he had a lot of money, so I'm like, huh, interesting.
Yeah.
But like the first thing where I was like, oh my God, his first wife, he took their kid to Cuba and would call her and be like, I killed her. I cut her up in pieces.
Oh my
And then call her and be
God.
like, I didn't. She's alive. Like,
Well, what was the point of doing that? Like,
control.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was
yeah.
trying to just put his wife at the time through turmoil,
yeah.
like just to fuck her up
Uh-huh.
because he's mean. He's a bad man.
He's mean. Bad
Yeah.
man.
He's a bad man. Also, one thing about L. Ron Hubbard, which is hilarious, is he fought in the war for Pearl Harbor, and he told everybody that he was a war hero and he sunk 2 Japanese ships and da 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 da. Really, he wasted the bombs and actually like shot them at a log in the
Oh
water.
my God.
And he got released from the army because he fucked up.
Embarrassing.
So he's just a liar. He's a
Yeah.
crazy fucking imaginative person.
But must be charismatic.
Well, he was a sci-fi writer.
He was a sci-fi writer, and
Oh.
that's where it all comes from.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I believe he holds the Guinness Book of Records for the most sci-fi books.
He does.
Oh, wow.
hmm
Okay.
Interesting.
So
he
he's
wrote over 1,000
That's crazy.
or published.
Though. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, he must have been okay. Well, like, we got to give him that for being talented or commitment. Yeah, something. But
He first started off selling a book, The Dianetics,
Mm-hmm.
and then so the church came later.
Yeah,
People
so-
kept sending him money. It went from there.
so, what do you know about the Dianetics? What is that?
It's just they're basically glorified book salesmen in like a pyramid scheme.
Oh,
And you take a personality test and then they try to sell you an $80 book. So that is the recruiting center in Hollywood. That is
oh, that's what that is. Yeah.
So you'll see the books inside. You do the 200 question personality test. They tell you your life is messed up and you need to buy the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a self-help book.
Yeah, and that's like the classic like pyramid scheme, like MLM, like prey on the person like their own self. It's like you make it personal.
The personality test, I feel like they can just grab information from that and use it to, like you said, say your life is fucked up.
Yeah.
There's so many odd questions. If you get a chance to see all 200 questions, they're the most random questions that one could possibly make. And there's no rhyme or reason to them. And then they have something called the cans, where you hold 2 cans
Yeah.
Oh God.
and it measures electrical pulses when you answer these questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to float the needle. And when they float the needle, if you get past a certain stage, it's you.
You're like clear, right?
Yeah,
like,
clear is another set to it, but
yeah.
they have sessions and you have to float the needle until you do it until you float the needle.
Oh, so it's like kind of controlling like your anxiety levels almost.
Yeah, it
like,
measures some type of pulse. There's no science to it whatsoever. There was children in Hemet making those devices as children.
Oh my God.
It's doing something, obviously, because the
like
needle's moving, but
Detecting your heartbeat, maybe.
Yeah, it's like-
yeah.
They asked, it's the same, similar. They asked the control questions, obvious questions like,
Mhm, what's your
then
name?
They
Yeah.
go from there.
I learned that they have a lot of like lingo when they're doing those, because when they do that, that's called auditing.
Auditing.
Yeah.
Yes.
They hold that while they're getting audited, and the auditors are the ones who listen to their trauma basically and like look at the needle and ask them the probing questions and getting the information and taking the notes on them, and it's like therapy for them. Like they talk about their deepest, darkest secrets. And, you know, once they let all that go, then they're at a higher level and they keep climbing up the bridge.
So it's literally just, it's literally just putting people through therapy, and they think that it's like religion.
Which is fine, I feel like. But the thing that the documentary was saying is people think it's just that, but then once you keep going up the ladder, it gets deeper and deeper and more fucked up and more fucked up. So it's like, oh, this is what we believe. Okay. Like they don't tell you right off the bat.
Yes, you have to pay to move up the bridge.
Yeah.
And to come to clear.
And just to put it in perspective, in 1950, each class was $500.
Oh,
In
wow.
1950.
What is it now?
People,
I don't know.
People spend millions of dollars to go up, and some never make it to the top.
And that's why it's like a celebrity thing, like people with money.
Yes, the celebrity side of it is their hook for people to come in. At the Celebrity Center on Franklin here, they have acting classes. So they provide acting classes, and then they try to get fresh talent in there, and then they use those celebrities as, hey, this is their control. They have the whole production center off of Sunset too. The whole
They can make stuff happen for you,
they
pretty
can
much.
make stuff happen for you.
And John Travolta went through that. That's why, because they were saying
He's
how
like the main success story.
yeah, he joined, and then everything started happening for him.
Yeah.
You know.
Tom Cruise, Elizabeth Moss.
Huh.
Yep.
So we protested Elizabeth Moss at the Jimmy Kimmel show.
Oh, I
And-
would have been real down for that.
It was fun because I love The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah,
that
me
was
too.
An
But when I-
awesome
yeah.
series,
Yeah.
but it wasn't supposed to be real.
Yeah.
And that's what the Church of Scientology is really, if you really get down into it, it's very Handmaid's Tale-y, very man-dominated,
Control.
very controlling.
Except they're kind of opposite because the Handmaid's Tale, they're trying to have a bunch of babies.
Yes.
The Scientologists actually believe in overpopulation and make their members get abortions sometimes when
Yes.
when they get pregnant.
Yep, forced abortions.
Forced abortions because they
God.
don't want you to keep populating the earth.
Yep.
So it's kind of like the opposite, but it's still the same control and the telling women what to do with their bodies.
And there are like two different like main groups in the Church of Scientology. Well, there's like three actually. There's public and private, and then there's Sea Org.
Oh, the Sea Org's crazy.
So the Sea Org is like the elite group. They wear naval inspired like uniforms.
They're the ones you see sweeping up the stuff on the sidewalks, wearing the vests
Yeah.
and the
Well, you
collared
see 'em.
shirts.
I don't see him.
Well, you've been in my house.
Yeah,
You've
and
seen them.
They can't have pets. They can't have, when they're married, they get separated and they'll go to different orgs and they won't see their wives or husbands for weeks, months, years. They're not allowed to have children. They separate them. And my friend Laura, she grew up in Hemet. Her
I think I
parents-
met her.
Yeah, with the
Blonde hair.
Yeah, blonde
We were
hair.
me and my boyfriend were taking a walk, and then her dog comes up, and I was like, "Is that a coyote?" Because it wasn't
like it.
it wasn't on a leash,
Uh-huh.
and she ended up talking to us for like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
She's a character.
she's a character. She's a rock star. Laura FM is her channel, and she grew up in Scientology. So she's
I didn't
like-
know that.
Yeah, so she wears a goldenrod jumpsuit because goldenrod, when you go against a church, you get labeled a suppressive person.
Mm-hmm.
And so they send out this goldenrod colored paper saying you're a suppressive person, you're an SP.
And everybody has to separate from you, right?
Yeah,
like they-
everyone-
like it's a plague or something.
Yeah.
yeah, you're
Well,
an SP.
what's cool is that there is now the SPTV community, which are all former SPTV people growing up in Scientology, life after a cult, growing up in Scientology. He's got 280,000 subs.
Wow.
Natalie from Life After Her Cult, she does all sorts of different stuff related to the protests. But they had this whole SPTV, and last week, 2 weeks ago, they formed the SPTV Foundation,
Oh, cool.
which is to help people come out of Scientology and have some type of support system.
I saw on your channel there was a guy that came up to you and said he just got banished from the church, and you gave him a phone number to call. Was that the
Yes, that was actually the Aftermath Foundation.
Oh, okay.
Which was Leah Remini.
Oh,
and
yeah.
kind of that whole group. And there's been some kind of like everything. There's been some drama and things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of the group has moved over to this SPTV Foundation. But now they put a billboard up for the Aftermath Foundation for them to call. And they paid like 10 grand for the year. And they put scissor lifts up in front because the Scientologists own the parking lot. So they put scissor lifts to cover the billboard. And then on the third night, men in a white cargo van at 3 a.m. brought a ladder, climbed up and tore it down. And then Clear Channel refused to put it back up. They were pressured by Scientology not to put it back up.
But
And
they paid all that money.
they paid all that money, and the person who did it, he's the father of 2 members of the church who stopped talking to him.
wow.
Mike and Emily Jones. So it was if you need to leave Scientology, call this phone number.
Yeah, because it's hard, and that's like all these people know is Scientology. So when they try to get out, they don't really have anywhere to go because they make you what do they call it? Disassociate or something with.
They disassociate from all friends and family, non-members, and they take Social Security checks from their people that goes directly to the church. So they also they hold the passports. They hold the passports so that you can't just leave.
Oh, wow.
And they also have a thing called freeloader debt. So that if you leave, you're allegedly owe this freeloader debt. And so, and you have to ask permission to leave. So that's been something we've been focusing on is if you have to ask to leave, you are not free.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. The documentary was talking about the people who start to stray away from the church or whatever. They like collected them all and like put them in a prison basically to like reform them.
Yep.
And there were security guards out front and you're not allowed to leave. So it's like, but then they'll say, oh, but we're here on our own free will. But it's like, you're not.
Yeah.
We just had last week a streamer called Confident Chris filmed probably one of the most important things so far in the protests. And it was a minor, a 17-year-old, who was just having a conversation with him. And the security guard, because no one's allowed to come and have conversations with any of us. They're asked by security to go back inside. Security came over. He said, no, I'm okay. They're not bothering me. I'm just having a conversation with them. Security guard left. A Sea Org member, like 2 minutes later, a girl came out, came up to him, grabbed his arm, and just looked at him. And you could see his face just sink because he didn't want to go. And she just stood there and waited, and then finally took him across the street. And as they crossed the street, she grabbed his hand and walked with his hand in hand with him into the building.
That's where like he's being forced to stay there. He doesn't
want to.
So he's curious about
sad.
Like outside of it.
And then the next day, some of the neighbors, I've been getting to know all the neighbors. Some of the neighbors walked by, and there was a help thing and tape on one of the windows on the back side.
Oh my God.
And so we called the police. Police came. They talked to the security, and then that was it. So I'm actually going to
because they have so much money, they have power,
and I was hearing about because their religion, it's protected under their First Amendment right.
Yep. And that's actually
imprison people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the police officer said it in this. They said it's harder to get into the church because it's a church. They have a little more lenience than like a private residence with like warrants or. Yeah, so
that's crazy.
They really abuse that religious aspect of it to the point to where I've had numerous times the police come out and say that I'm disrupting a religious service.
Oh, and it's like there's so many legal loopholes that are in favor of them. That's the problem.
Let's talk about the religious aspect of it.
Yeah.
What do Scientologists believe?
Well, they believe in Xenu.
Yeah.
I have this little bracelet, Xenu, and he's from the Galactic Federation. And he basically took a bunch of people and put them in ice cubes and then dumped them into a volcano, dropped a couple atomic bombs on it, and then they turned into like ghosts called Thetans.
Sounds like
it's a perfect sci-fi story. And then those Thetans take over your body.
And that's the whole point, is getting rid of those Thetans, right?
Yes,
that's what becoming clear is about, is clearing yourself of the Thetans.
Yep. So when you reach a certain OT level, you learn about Xenu. And then
that's what I'm saying. They don't tell you right away. It's when you reach a certain level.
And you have so many tens of thousands of dollars invested into it that most people are like, I don't want to admit that I'm an idiot. I'm going to continue through with this because at some point, maybe I'm going to be all powerful and I could do anything because I've gone clear and up the bridge. And so, so it's all about the Thetans, and anytime something bad happens, it's always you who brought it on, and you have to pay to audit to get rid of the Thetans. And now this is where it gets dark, is that the children, 12, 13-year-old boys and girls, are auditing grown men.
What?
And women. So Laura, who you met, and another streamer, Serge Delmar, from the SPTV community, as children, they did this. They asked questions about masturbation.
Oh my
and-
God.
And anal, all that stuff.
Why are kids doing that? Like, what's the
They're-
reasoning for that?
Because in Scientology, their belief is that children are just small adults. And so
Wow.
that's where, so a lot of the SPTV community is a community of victims of SA, and that is the core. And that's why it's kind of the protest has been so well funded, or so well, why it's growing so much is because there's this huge community behind. And Surge is really one of the big ones talking about what he did. He was literally trafficked from Honduras
Oh, wow.
here when he was little, and was asking these questions at 12 years old.
That's crazy.
And the Scientologists, they could request certain children, and they'll actually ship the children over state lines to bring them to audit.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
And what it does is, because of the audits, you're telling all your stories. Everything is recorded. And so the biggest thing is that no Scientologist is supposed to report outside of Scientology. So you have these people who have molested children, who have said this through audits and were not punished. They were protected. And so that is really, to me, what makes Scientology a cult or so bad.
And evil.
And it's evil. And Serge Delmar and Laura, they went through that, and they're like the foundation of like kind of telling the truth that brick road on Ron Hubbard Way was put down by children.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's
Phew.
child labor,
I-
child like traumatizing
Grooming,
children,
child grooming.
It's grooming.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about this grooming. This is the real deal grooming, like
Yeah.
real actual grooming.
and somehow it's legal.
Yeah, and I truthfully, I think that a lot of people know that the Scientologists are weird, but they don't know the details of this
Yeah.
auditing.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, what really has to come out is the
Yeah.
story of that. A lot of people don't know what's going on.
They don't.
Yeah.
And it maybe, it's weird and stuff, but until people really know the dark side
Yeah.
of it is.
And I feel like they don't want to believe the dark side of it either. Is like, for instance, like the lady that lives next door to me, she'd probably be like, that doesn't happen. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Also, one of the big things is, are you guys familiar with Danny Masterson?
yes.
No.
Yes, you are.
Am
The
I?
70s show guy who got in trouble for drugging women.
Oh, Hyde.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I saw your
Was
signs.
he a Scientologist?
Yes.
Oh.
And they tried to cover it up, or they didn't want him to tell on him,
Yeah,
basically,
because a lot of people actually wrote letters like
in support of him.
Yeah, like Ashton
Mila
Kutcher,
Kunis.
Mila Kunis. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, we have been protesting all the Scientology buildings, but we've also been boycotting La Poubelle.
Okay, so this is what we wanted to talk about, because we saw on your page something about La Poubelle, and I was like, I wonder if they're like owned by Scientologists, or like what's the deal with them?
What's the deal?
Francois Coster, the owner, wrote a character witness statement. Ashton and Mila
Mila
Kunis.
they would go and hang out at La Poubelle.
Oh.
I know a
it's-
lot of celebrities go there because it's like right across the street.
It was the watering hole. Every up and coming person, you go there, you get drunk, you try to get laid with one of these 70s actors from the 70s show. Ashton would go and hang out. Danny Masterson hung out. Jane Doe number 3 was drugged in that restaurant and brought up the street and raped.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And so she actually has a restraining order against me and another activist, William Good, because we've been effective at pretty much the character witness statement. It basically says, oh, he helped with adopting dogs and he's allergic, so please look past the facet that in his life where he essayed these women.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
Yeah, so we've been attacked probably like 20 times. The police are working with them.
Because some of the police are probably
They went to the Christmas
They're
party.
probably in on it.
Yeah.
The Hollywood division, the head lieutenant went and sang at their Christmas thing with the celebrities, with Austin.
well, that's
and-
probably why
Wow.
they're like, oh, I get to meet celebrities
Yeah.
and
It's all it's that La Poubelle is the watering hole of every internet Hollywood pedo whatever.
That's
That La Poubelle
crazy.
is
It's like
like the
one of them.
point. So
I've never been there, but I go to Birds a lot, so
Yeah.
I walk past it
We
all the
suggest
time.
everyone go to Birds.
Yeah, yeah, Birds
what
is
we do.
safe.
Yeah.
Go to Birds.
We
But
like
don't get their
Birds.
chicken salad. I will say that. 'Cause I got their chicken salad. It was cold. It was cold chicken. It was supposed to be grilled chicken. It was like cold. Stick to the fried chicken. Stick to the rotisserie.
Yeah.
The sushi shop's good, and the
Yeah, the
ice
sushi
cream.
shop is
There's a
good.
nice
Van
ice cream
Leeuwen,
place right
yeah.
there. But Francois she went to court 40 times with him, stood side by side, and her lawyer that they're using for these restraining order cases is Leah Safran. She was Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer from Epstein Island.
Already
Wow.
sketchy. Yeah.
And now with P. Diddy,
Oh.
Ashton was friends with him.
Oh, of course he was.
They're all in on it.
They're all in on it.
I don't mean to get into any kind of conspiracy or anything.
No,
I don't know
but-
what you guys are into here.
No,
You just found me on the street, but there's a lot of common connections, and two of Danny Masterson's lawyers are helping with P. Diddy's case.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that is like a lot of these like fucked up celebrities are connected.
Yeah, they are.
Like
So
Yeah.
and the church, because Danny was a Scientologist, and they forced the victims to go through arbitration and mediation through the church because it's a religion. And so the victims had to sit and go and cross paths with Danny, trying to get like some type of remedy for what happened. And
They just have to see their abuser.
Yep.
Over
they
and
were
over.
not allowed to go to the police. And when they did go
Wow.
to the police, the Hollywood division, they refused to do anything about it. And so they went and killed one of the dogs. They
Yeah, I
wrapped
heard that.
cyanide with around meat around cyanide and fed it to the dogs. Killed one of the Jane Doe's dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And so the church went after the victims instead of going after Danny.
Yeah.
And so that's the other between the auditing and then what happened with Danny. It's what makes the church evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are evil.
I mean, those are proof. Like those are things that are provable that like we have accounts like from real people that have experienced it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so the Jane Does might come sometimes in full costume to La Poubelle just to support us.
Oh,
Mhm.
nice.
So
May
Yeah.
or may not.
may or may not. Allegedly. 'Cause they have a bunch of court cases, and the court cases they're doing RICO charges as that the church is a criminal enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And David Miscavige, which is the leader
Oh.
of the church now, got served for the first time a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
So he had been ditching service, and so he the first time ever he got legally served.
Good. That
So-
guy's a psycho.
Yeah.
He's a psycho, and
And he's in love with Tom Cruise. They're gay.
Tom Cruise.
They're gay together.
And I'm not sure if you're aware of Shelley Miscavige or the story about Shelley.
Is she the one that has gone missing?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's been missing for like 15 years. His wife just disappeared.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so the first thing Leah Remini did when she'd left the church was file a missing person report on Shelley Miscavige.
Good.
So allegedly she's either at the Gold Base in Hemet or farther up north in like a San Francisco org.
Or she's
Wait, so who is
Or
she?
she's dead.
Who is she for the listeners? What
She's
happened?
David's wife. So
Okay.
David is the guy who took over when L. Ron Hubbard died, and
Uh-huh.
he was like running the whole thing and the face of the whole thing, and it's his wife.
And she's missing.
She's been missing for 15 years.
But we have some alleged places where she could be.
Yes,
Yeah.
because like 5 or 6 years ago she went and got a driver's license.
Mm.
Wow, how dare her?
Yeah. So it's odd that a wife just goes missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like whether she's dead or she's a slave, I don't know which
Either
one.
way,
I don't
it's
know which
like-
one's worse,
Yeah.
truthfully.
Yeah.
But it's
something happened to her.
yeah, it's creepy. His twin.
Ew, he has a twin.
He's got a twin. It's a girl, and she's, I believe, missing too.
Oh wow.
Damn.
Wait, where's he? Did he die?
No,
he's still alive.
he kind
What's
of went
he
into
doing?
hiding, didn't he? Like he stopped being like
Yes.
the face of Scientology.
He was in Austin just not too long ago. They
well,
built
he's
a
being
little.
exposed maybe too much. Like people.
Well,
are
now
starting to-
the court process is going through because they had been skipping. They have a big ship that they were hiding out in international waters so that they couldn't have service. And when there's a victim or something happens, they move the people around to the other orgs. And so they move them out of the jurisdictions where stuff happens. So it's very hard for the police to move on.
They know what they're doing.
Oh,
They're smart.
Yeah.
They're very smart, and they're
Calculated.
very
They have a lot of
calculated.
people and money behind them. So
They have
it's
like billions of dollars. So let's go back to the Sea Org, because I feel like that's the craziest part of Scientology.
the Sea Org.
I just want to say that
I feel like just the name, like the nomenclature of everything sounds so sci-fi.
well, it's called the Sea Org because they originally
it's like
started.
the sea organization.
Yeah, like the sea.
The Navy.
Yeah, like
kinda.
they started out on a ship, and L. Ron Hubbard, it was his ship, and he made them all scrub the ship and clean it and work on it for months and months at a time, and paid them nothing, pretty much, like 6 cents an hour. But that's kind of where it started, right?
Yeah, it's because he's got this whole thing that he's this hero for the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if it started on the boat or not. A lot of to get up the bridge or to get clear, you have to go to Clearwater, Florida, and go to the boat. And I'm still learning about Scientology myself because there's so much jargon and so many things that, like, to us is like, there's the auditing, and then there's security checks. Sec check is what they call it. And that basically, if you go outside and you see Defender Vance yelling and he says something about Shelley Miscavige, you have to go get sec checked because now you're a security risk.
There's so much. It's like, I mean, they really have just created their own world.
Yeah.
Like, that's outside this world.
Yeah,
Completely.
and they keep them isolated, and now they traffic the people across the street from Fountain onto Ron Hubbard Way and into the buildings. They don't even allow them to cross the street. They use minivans with tinted windows to move them back and forth.
So those people, let me just tell you.
I kind of want to go protest with you. I want to help them.
Yeah, you could go and just what I would suggest is just go to Fountain and Ron Hubbard Way and sit for 10, 20 minutes and watch those trucks come out every couple of minutes, and it's eerie. I mean, the whole building is eerie.
The whole thing is so eerie. And so the Sea Org, the ones that wear the uniforms, because I walk my dog all the time, like over around there, and I was walking past a group of them. There was like 3 of them raking leaves or something outside, and this guy was like training these 2 people, and he's like, yeah, if there's no leaves on the ground to rake up, I just shake the tree and make the leaves fall off of the tree so that then I can clean up the leaves and like get ahead of it. I literally heard him say that. I was like,
y'all have nothing better to do with your time. Like,
well,
really.
It's the nicest area in L.A.
Yeah,
It actually is really nice.
But that's why
like, that street is so
honestly,
clean.
I
It's
feel
very clean.
kind of safer. Like if I'm walking home from your house or something, I feel like it's safer to go
Down
that
Ron
way because
Hubbard,
there's security
Ron
guards
Hubbard,
at least.
Yeah.
And lots of
But-
cameras.
And lots of cameras,
Yeah.
probably with audio as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, yeah.
Are you trying to say my neighborhood's dangerous?
No, I'm trying to say our neighborhood is dangerous. It's not though. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. But I'm just saying it's lit. It's well lit. There's security
Right.
guards.
It's clean.
It's clean.
There's
Yeah.
no homeless anywhere around that.
You won't
buildings.
see it.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
it's
I'm gonna
just as
say
clean.
Sometimes I don't pick up my dog's poop when he poops in the
We,
yard.
we encourage leaving the poop.
I always pick it up. I'm a good neighbor, but sometimes if he poops right on the place, I'm like, you know what? Let's just leave it.
So you're saying you're a hero.
Yeah. Not all heroes wear capes, but
I do.
but you do. And we're gonna we'll take pictures. We'll post a picture, but he is wearing a cape, and I love it.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever. It's the best.
Yeah. So the Sea Org, they get paid very little, and they work like 30 hours like a day or something.
Yeah, they work
Not a
like
day,
12 to 15 hours a day.
Yeah, and they have
7
like
days a
very
week.
little sleep and time for themselves.
They get like $65 or $75 a week,
Yep.
Jeez.
and they
A
sometimes
week.
get Sundays off because it's a religious volunteering kind of.
And this is like the high organization. Like they're respected in the community? No.
Well, they're respected in some circles, which are circles that they influence.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we're starting to really kind of push, the other day I was bullhorning, they were doing a food drive. They have an organization. They have all sorts of front groups. This particular front group was volunteer ministries, and so they do food drives every week. But they also clean the graffiti all throughout LA, and they work together with LAPD.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so they got really into working with LAPD 20, 30 years ago when the Crips and the Bloods came together and they were doing graffiti all over the place, and that was marking the territory. So the Sea Org members went and painted the territorial markings. And that created this bond with the LAPD. And they also do fire cleanup and do one other community event that
Basically, they're trying to lure people in.
well,
with
yeah,
it,
it's
like,
what I was in a frat in college, and that's what my frat did. They did awful things to women, but everyone had to volunteer and do community service.
So it's like, but look, we're good people.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, we help the community.
yeah, and so it's total BS, and I'm glad I went through the fraternity experience to see that that's a common thing for a lot of fraternal groups and everything, is to do a lot of good so that you could do a lot of bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's deep.
I want to know, like, about your background, like how you got to be passionate about this kind of stuff, or like social justice, like what's.
I'm from Chicago,
Okay.
so I live in my van,
Yeah.
and so I've been on and off living in my van, couch surfing. I have friends all over the country, and now I have like multiple friends in every state, and I like making friends with people who have properties, big properties, so I can come and park. And
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I like permaculture and like husbandry and like different like organic like permaculture stuff. So I just go all the way around everything. And 10 years ago, I fought a cultivation case in Chicago. And
What is a cultivation case?
I was
Like
growing
for
weed.
marijuana?
I was
Yeah.
growing marijuana
And that's like before it was really legalized.
How
in
dare you.
Chicago. I was a couple years ahead of the curve.
You're bad.
Yeah, so I was bad. I did 118 days in the Kane County Jail.
Damn.
That's so annoying.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, I was labeled a domestic terrorist
Oh.
because of some of the stuff I tried to do in court. Just trying to I learned law on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I fought 7 felonies for 38 months, did 118 days. I'm pretty much well connected with most of the major marijuana activists. I was doing something called jury nullification, promoting that, handing out flyers. The judge held me in contempt. The cops beat me up, charged me with 6 more felonies. I was facing 50 years in jail.
50 years would
And
be
so
crazy.
I was able to beat the cultivation case on a Miranda issue without a lawyer. I sat and learned the law.
Fuck yeah.
And
Good.
so I had a written confession saying I grew all the plants, and they had to throw it out because I wasn't under Miranda when I signed the confession. And the state dropped the charges, so
Boom.
I successfully beat it without a lawyer.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
And it took, I was in jail when I beat it. And then finally my mom, once she saw that after 2 years of going backwards, that, hey, your son's not a psychopath, and I'll bail him out. So she bailed me out, and I fought the other 6 felonies, and I started doing I basically questioned my role as defendant, because you're never supposed to defend an ant in court, and that's getting into a whole real sovereign citizenry thing. But I said I wanted to be under oath, and I wanted the prosecutor to be under oath, and you start saying some of those things, and the judge told the prosecutor, get him out of here. And so the prosecutor made me a sweet plea deal that I took. He dropped all 6
So the judge was like, I
felonies.
don't even want to deal
Yeah,
with this.
I literally
knows too
annoyed
much.
them. I'm a professional heckler.
Yeah.
I'm very annoying.
Yeah.
And because words are important in court, and so he was saying, "Oh, I think you need a lawyer." I said, "Are you offering me legal advice?" And so
Oh, so you really like researched it, like yeah. If you're saying that.
my friends are all ACAB,
Yeah.
but I'm the type. There's bad and good in all groups, including Scientology.
I would agree with that.
You know,
yeah.
and so I treat the police with the utmost respect. I try to befriend them. Out in D.C., I'm not friends, but they know, the special ops police in D.C. know who I am. Some of the lore of DOA is that I have my cape, but I go barefoot. So they all know that I'm like the barefoot bandit, like kind of from like Home Alone. But I've created relationships that have helped me and kept me safe and allowed me to do things that others were not allowed to do.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm friends with everybody. I try to make friends even here at the Blue Building. I know all the homeless and all the neighbors walking by. They know who I am. And that's, to me, it's all about the community, the local community.
Yeah.
Because they protect you.
Have you been in the van for a while, like the van life kind of thing?
Yes, I'm on my 3rd Astro van. I've run the whole coast of California. Last year I ran the coast of Oregon, hitchhiked from Oregon all the way across the border to Idaho. When I did 118 days in jail, I was like, I'd watch the sunset, and I was like, if I ever get out, because I didn't think I was getting out.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to get lost forever back there. I was facing 50 years in jail.
Yeah.
And I was representing myself, which...
Never, that never goes well.
Yeah, that never goes well. But I'd watch the sunset, and when I was like, when I get out, I want to travel the world and see, enjoy the sunsets and sunrises. I'll protest and do activism, and it's scary. And my audience is, up to now, it was a lot older. It was like 55 to 65, 70% women. And so they would get all worked up from protesting and the cops trying to arrest me or people trying to kill me, slash my tires. And I'll go and take a drive. We'll go to a waterfall and we'll listen to music. And so it's like a radio show, like a cool down after exercising.
Yeah.
So
you need that for like your mental health.
Yeah, you gotta have balance.
Yeah,
you know? And so
for sure.
I'm up and down, and I'm really aware of that. And I'm a professional protester now. Like I know the laws. I've been in enough jurisdictions. I'm addicted now to the adrenaline of the police interactions and trolling and heckling.
Well, once you're confident that you know your stuff.
There's over 100 streamers streaming at different Scientology orgs, which has just grown. We had 3 new streamers this week in LA that just started.
Yeah,
One is a former Sea Org member.
Oh shit.
And so and then a couple days ago we had another. You saw the one, but we just had another one leave and say that he was banished and ask for the foundation's number. So it's growing, and it's growing at a very quick pace.
Ever since you showed up to the neighborhood, I feel like there has been more protesting and there has been more awareness. And even people who might not be affiliated with you have been standing out with signs.
I never really thought of like a professional protester, but there's people that should be doing it, and it's like helpful to the community.
Yeah, I mean, you're making waves, obviously. Like you're doing really good stuff.
No, I know I am, and not being like cocky or anything, but like
but we need people like you out there doing it.
I've been teaching people, like my friend was like, he followed me. He's one of the new streamers out here, but he followed me. He's a right wing. He reports on right wing extremism. But he'd been following me for the last couple of years out in DC. I collect friends. I don't care about material items. After jail, what is important to me is friends and those relationships and experiences with those friends. I have this dream that my van is the mobile network. I'm like the support. So I have all the chalk and the wires and the extra batteries and tripods and poster board. And so I have this girl, Amanda, who's making all the posters, and she comes and drops them off. Her mother's sewing poster bags so we could carry the posters.
Nice.
Oh, heck yeah.
We have posters that are just for Scientology. We have posters for the boycott at La Poubelle. There's just so many different avenues of protesting. And now we have flyers that say SPTV Foundation. We got like 9 of the different streamers on there. And it says, come join our loving family. You can leave, and then it's got the phone number for the SP.
You're making a difference out here, and I respect you for that.
It's like an anti-cult.
Yeah.
Well, and it what's weird about streaming, because I've been streaming for a couple years now, it forms, I was talking about earlier, parasocial relationships.
Yeah, right.
And so like those almost kind of become, the streamers kind of become culty. In themselves. So
I can see that.
Like it's hard to.
It can be like an oxymoron, but it's different because it's not like you're trying to influence people, but not ruin their lives. Like a cult. Like you're not taking their money in a way that's like, you have to be here or else. Like,
people keep saying, well, why don't you protest the Catholic Church? There's all sorts of essays in the church.
Well, there's so many causes.
Yes, there's so many different things, and you have to focus on one thing and be specific.
Yeah.
We're here for a very specific goal, and the difference from the Catholic Church is they're allowed to leave.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's very true. Where can people find you?
DOA on YouTube.
Okay.
It's the best
That's
place.
the biggest
or
one.
the lore of DOA.
The lore of DOA.
I
I want to follow that one.
Like really quickly.
I'm gonna follow that one.
Yeah. If if this is successful in taking Scientology down, it could be successful in taking down other cults that are similar.
Yeah.
100%.
So I feel very lucky and blessed and very special that I'm involved in this, and that there's a good chance that we together as the independent streamers, not a group, but as this community, can actually take it down.
Yeah.
And it's really that SPTV and the trauma, a lot of that trauma bonding, because that trauma bonding is so much.
Yeah.
Those chats are so different than like a First Amendment auditor type of chat.
Yeah.
Which is very male dominated, and it seems that the trauma SPTV is a little more female dominated. It matters, and what's cool is we have Tori Magoo, who has been out of Scientology for like 30 years, but she's been protesting for 30 years against this church.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we have Simon, who's 16, and so
That's cool.
we have a 16-year-old, a 76-year-old. And everyone in between, and it's so diverse too.
Yeah.
It's not this.
It's like across generations, across like.
And a lot of gay community is involved, and so because that's another thing about the church.
They're not into gay marriage.
Yeah, they're not.
Ooh, we don't like that.
They harass people who are gay in the church.
And they will audit the gay out of you.
Oh, so it's Catholic like that a little.
It's Christo-fascist like that a little bit.
Like the auditing just really reminds me of like Catholic confessions.
That's what it is.
It is basically, but it's like
it's recorded.
With kids.
This is the thing.
It's so weird.
Once the floodgates are open, the whole church is ruined because they are meticulous with their recordings and their note taking. So everything that's been done has been recorded and it's there.
So somebody can expose them.
Yes, and they are like the former Scientologists who are involved with this SPTV. They are feeling the knowledge because a lot of us are just. They call us never ins
because we've never
been in.
Yeah,
and so they love that all these never ins are here standing up for them because they've never
they
had
have a term
people.
for that.
I know
they got terms for everything.
Yeah, they do.
and I'm still learning it, and like that's what I kind of like. I love and I've been really trying to harvest that information from those Scientologists because I'm learning, and I'm gonna be learning and learning because there's like 70 or 80 different levels. And
honestly though, just standing out there and like if you can just get people to talk somehow and have it in the chat, like the power of social media is going to take that places. Like it absolutely is. And the older generation is going to die out. The newer generation that has like social media is going to come in and dismantle it, hopefully.
Well, and like, they're forced abortions. They're literally killing off their younger crowd. And this is another thing about the church at the Easter thing. So they had an Easter event, and we had a big picnic, and the cops tried to push us around and everything. Well, like, what? You're not Christian or Catholic. So what are you celebrating Easter? But it was all the Latino community. They're going after, even if you around the neighborhood, you'll see a bunch of Scientology in Spanish.
Yeah, because the neighborhood is like predominantly Spanish speaking.
And that's who all come, and a lot of them are just coming for the free food or the freebies, and awesome. You know, I'm glad. Even the food drive, I was protesting it, knowing that the people need it, knowing that the people even involved in that volunteer ministries, they have good intentions.
Yeah.
But it's to hide
the bad stuff.
And so good intentions pave the way to hell. It's like the Handmaid's Tale. The men it's dominated by men.
That's how a lot of cults are.
The day that we take them down is going to be...
I feel like it's going to happen soon. More and more, there's like documentaries being made, and social media just travels so quickly. Like, I do think that this kind of thing is going to be like nipped in the bud. I don't know when, but it's gonna be.
But people like you is why it might happen.
One of the reasons why, like, it's gonna be faster.
I appreciate that. With the Danny Masterson and the P. Diddy and all this, it feels like there's going to be some justice for some of the victims.
Yeah.
And because they're so interconnected, you can't get away from it. Once you're intertwined into it, you're guilty.
Yeah.
And so the whole ship will
will sync
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And that's
it's
what's
just a matter
happening.
of when.
That's what's happening now. My YouTube feed is all these different rappers and whatever. They're all talking about
Yeah.
P. Diddy. They're distancing themselves or doubling down with him.
Well, that's what happens. It's the cancel culture, which I gotta say,
It's good.
it's good. I don't hate cancel culture.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
That's what we're doing at La Poubelle.
Be held
Yeah.
accountable. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy concept.
Yeah,
but
you wrote a letter for this rapist, this serial
Yeah.
rapist.
Yeah.
Like, we're coming to cancel you.
yeah.
We're gonna shut
That's
you
not
down.
okay.
and you
Yeah.
can also just avoid being canceled by taking accountability.
Yep.
Like you can literally just take it accountability, apologize.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
That's
what
all you have to do.
in the restraining order for Francois Coster, she said he tried to get me to come out and say that Danny Masterson, have a conversation about Danny Masterson. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the
I
point.
came, I was calling you out because I went, I sat down in a lawn chair because everyone was protesting the Scientology bill.
Yeah.
And Laura FM and another indie filmmaker who filmed Green Day was telling me about the story of La Poubelle. And so I put a lawn chair in front, smoked 2 hitters, and then just started saying this place supports rape. And that first night, I tried to get her to come out and say, hey, what's your thoughts about Danny? And she refused, and she never said nothing. She would have had her business still if she just came out and said, Danny is a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was that simple.
Like
Yeah.
I can admit to what he did, like that's all you gotta say.
Accountability is everything. We all make
Yeah.
mistakes. We all do weird
Yeah,
things.
nobody's perfect,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
recognizing that you did something wrong, I think, is a big
Yeah.
thing.
Just be like, yeah, that was fucked up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
Simple.
that's all.
It's simple.
Like,
But now Scientologists, there's a couple more things about Scientology. They do something called bull baiting, which I'm a professional bull baiter. I just never heard a term for it. It's
baiter.
like I'll dress up in drag
Uh-huh.
to piss off people. Like when I went out to Florida, the first day I was there, I went in full drag, and the neighbor was like, "You're an effing."
Oh.
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
kinda-
yeah.
And then he
yeah.
went out and started firing guns in his property.
What?
And
Florida's
so,
crazy,
yeah,
man.
so
Yeah.
that's like bull baiting, getting people in their emotions. And the whole thing about Scientology is that you don't get in your emotions. So they'll audit and sec check you, and they'll ask the same question 10, 15, 20 times until you get the response. And they don't want you in your emotions. So you're not supposed to have any emotions in Scientology at all. So they're not supposed to have any emotions. And it's a weird thing, but you can, through enough conversation, make people cold, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what they do.
So it's sort of like through these audits, like training them to like let it all out so they never have to speak of it again or like
Yes.
never have to think about it again.
Yes. And they're not allowed to talk amongst each other about it. It's
Oh.
private within the audits. So you never
Yeah,
have any
that's-
reflection of people outside of that. And again, some of those audits are children asking.
That's crazy.
Just from like I wasn't in the Catholic Church, but I went to Catholic school and we would have confession days with the priests. And we had to like, they would do these like mock, I don't know what they're called, like confessionals, but they would put like a curtain and they had like all the priests in the gym and we'd come to the auditorium. And I just would go because like we could leave class and be like, I have to go make a confession. And so we would like go, like get in the bleachers, like wait in line. And I'm like, well, what am I going to tell this old guy? Like, it's just like so weird. Like, I'd rather tell my friends or like tell my community about shit that's going on, like rather than this guy that's like not really doing anything for me.
Well, and it does, I mean, like everything, like when you hold something in, like just to talk about it.
Yeah.
So the Scientologists do believe, even former Scientologists, some of them will still do auditing because they believe that it is some type of therapeutical relief.
But it's like just go to therapy or just tell like
Talk to a friend.
yeah.
But the thing is Ron L. Hubbard was so against psychology and stuff because, in my opinion, it's because psychology doesn't take him seriously.
I think for how smart he was, he must have known what he was doing.
Oh yeah,
He definitely did.
No, he knew it was all about control and power.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knew.
Yeah, and that they have a museum here that is the anti-psychology
Oh, really?
museum.
Like they really hate psychologists.
Yeah, they hate it. It's a super big thing, And that's a lot of, even L. Ron Hubbard died because he had a couple seizures and they didn't take him to the hospital. And so there's quite a few different circumstances. Lisa McPherson in Clearwater was a situation like that. They skipped 2 hospitals and took her to a third one that was a Scientologist doctor. So she was basically killed because of their.
That sounds like Handmaid's Tale.
No, it's very like Elizabeth Moss. Like, I'm telling you, like,
well, that's
they
why
picked
she was
the
so
perfect
good in that.
person.
Yeah.
They picked a perfect.
She's a good
person.
actress, but also she
grew
was
up
living
in-
her life.
Yeah,
like,
she grew up in that church too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she from the beginning.
Yep, and that's the children who've grown up in Scientology. They are the ones that are taking it down now.
Which is
Because
great.
Yeah, they're 30, 40 now.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey,
Like
we
this
got
was
this
fucked up.
community. They're very inviting to all religions too, which is kind of unique and weird from other religions because it's you join their religion and that's your religion. Where Scientology, they harvest from all the religions and they almost make you think that you coexist with the church and your religion.
Oh.
So it's kind of a strange relationship with that. They make you feel like you're better than everybody and you know everything. And that's what they're told.
Yeah.
They're told that they're saving the world.
Yeah, it's like
So they think everything that they do is to save the world.
That's one thing I took away from the documentary that I watched, because there was like one woman that was like talking about how we're here to like help humanity figure it out, like save the world.
Honestly, this documentary I watched, I was always scared of them. Like I didn't want to really associate myself with any of them, but this documentary I'm like, oh shit, like I'm really scared of you guys. Like I don't why do I live here? It just sucks because they don't really understand
They don't have the knowledge.
what's going on, and then when they do finally and they leave, it's like trauma. Like
well,
now
it's
you just went
crazy
through all this
that
trauma.
they're like right here too.
know.
Like literally right out the door is us.
Yeah,
Like
it's like the headquarters, because now Clearwater, they've taken over the whole town of Clearwater, Florida, and there's nobody there now.
Wow.
And they've just in the last 2 weeks they purchased City Hall.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
God.
So Clearwater is all the Scientologists have to go to Clearwater. They have to pay for the hotel that's owned by Scientology. They have to pay for the tickets. They have to pay for the thing. They have to do their courses there.
How can we rob them? I just want a little bit of that money. Like just a little.
There's like nothing like you. If you look at the blue building, it's weird. It feels very it's very Orwellian.
Oh
It's
yeah,
really weird.
yeah.
It has a whole Orwellian feel to that.
Yeah,
whole
Big Brother,
area.
like yeah.
It's weird. It's
I
a
get
weird
that.
vibe.
It's weird, but Hollywood, this is it. This is where the celebrities come in.
Well, that's how,
and
and they're drawing people in.
via the celebrities.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, we will never be fooled by the Scientologists.
Awesome.
yeah.
Win. That's a W.
Yeah. Yes, we will dismantle Scientology together.
Thank you so much for talking to us. This is such a good conversation.
I know this is going to
Do
be
you
a
have
really
any
good
other
episode.
like questions you want to ask?
I only have one question, and it has nothing to do with Scientology.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
What's been your favorite place to visit?
There's a couple like top places. Krause Springs outside of Austin.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Well, it's got like a grotto and hammocks, and it's privately owned, and they got like 15 different springs and 2 waterfalls and
I love that.
a spring-fed regular swimming pool that's clean, and then
Oh my god.
it's a waterfall with ferns that has a cave, and they have the water oaks, water cypress up along the thing, and it's when you think of Texas, you think like cowboy hats,
Yeah,
desert. You don't think like this lush, beautiful place.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for.
Thank you for having me.
We're just
on,
being
Joe.
autistic.
Thanks for coming.
I
Like
appreciate
this was
it.
a pleasure.
Yeah. It
For
would be.
a random stranger on the
I
sidewalk. This
know.
is what life is all about.
I know. I'm so happy you were like, yeah.
And this is the neighborhood, you know?
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode. I hope you loved it. Go follow Scotty at Defender of Ants on YouTube.
On
DOA.
YouTube.
DOA. Follow us on Instagram, obviously. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Pod. Buy us a coffee.
Buy
Go to
us
our
a
link.
coffee.
Go to our link in the bio and buy us a coffee.
Guys, listen, it's really not that hard. Just
if you have a Venmo balance on your Venmo right now, which I know you do, just send us $5. It's $5.
Yeah.
Got 5 on it.
We got 5 on it. All right. Thank you guys. Love you.
Love you so much. Bye.
Mwah.
Mwah.